السلام عليكم
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Samah Mubarak. What was the relationship between the disbelievers at that time and the other faiths, like the Jews, and was there any ongoing relationship between them?
That's a very good question, mashallah. Again, unfortunately, at that time, those who claim to be following other faiths, like the Jews and the Christians, they have gone quite far away from the true meanings of their religion. And their practices were actually not quite different from the practices of Quraysh. So Quraysh used to interact with the Christians, particularly in Asham. Whenever they went to Asham, which was all Christian Arabs, by the way, the tribes of Ghassan, who were the rulers of Syria and that part, Asham in general, on behalf of the Roman Empire, they were Christians. But their practices were exactly similar to the practice of Quraysh. They have forgotten the true meanings and the true values and the true tenets of their faiths. Same thing happened also to the Jewish tribes. So if we look at the Jewish presence in Medina, for example, in Yathrib at that time, the three major Jewish tribes, whether it's Bani Qaynuqa, Bani Nadir, or Bani Qurayza, their practices were exactly the same as Quraysh. They used to deal in usury or riba, and they used to foment fights against the different Arab tribes, because that would be the way for them to sell their goods, whether it's weapons or they would lend money to finance these wars and so on. So war to them was something good. They wanted to spread enmity among these different tribes, and some of them would ally themselves with one tribe or another in that war until they wanted to keep this war ongoing all the time.
Jazakallah.
Allah barik fiik.
Dr. Ihab, we have a question from Salman. Unfortunately, his mic is not working, I think. He said, please highlight what our Prophet والسلام, was contemplating in the cave of Hira. Do we have more information?
Well, the Prophet ﷺ heard or have seen these hunafa. So the word Hanif means someone who worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without any partners or without any associates. And the first person to be described as such was Sayyidina Ibrahim على نبينا عليه الصلاة والسلام. إن إبراهيم كان أمة قانتا لله حنيفا ولم يكن من المشركين. The ayah that comes at the end of Surah An-Nahl. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described him as such. And there were other people in Arabia who were hunafa as well, who maintained the same religion of Sayyidina Ibrahim, and they rejected the idol worshipping. The Prophet ﷺ, to him, these idols did not make any sense, because he has seen how people make them, how people carve them, how whenever they travel to on a journey, they would take 3 stones with them. They would select the best looking one to make it as an idol, and the other 2 they would use them for their daily use, to support their pots while they're cooking and so on. And he sallallahu alaihi wasallam remembers that this introduction of idols to Al-Kaaba was something relatively new. It didn't happen. It was not the original purpose for which the Kaaba was established. So he sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew what was the history of Al-Kaaba and what was the prominence of Al-Kaaba and why it was built. It was built for the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. So when he sallallahu alaihi wasallam would go to the cave in solitude, he would basically meditate and ponder, trying to find the clues exactly in the same way that Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi did when he was seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the journey that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala documented in the Quran, when he looked at the sun and then he looked at the moon, and then first he looked at the stars and then the moon and then the sun, and recognized these cannot be my deity, my God, because they disappear. They are not omnipresent. So the Prophet ﷺ knew all of this history, and he was trying to get on the same path of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi. So the Arabs sometimes would switch some letters, just like, for example, in some dialects in the United Kingdom, instead of saying brother, they would say brother. To someone who's not looking, they might hear it as the same. The V and the TH, they might sound similar. So to the Arabs, tahannuf and tahannuth would be, again, it would be a play on the word or a switching of the word. They would replace the letter fa with the letter Tha. So they would say the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam كان يتحنث. يتحنث يعني also يتحنث, which is worshipping or trying to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and receive guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the same way that Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam did. So that was the purpose of the trip or the retreat of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, again staying away from the hustle and bustle of Mecca and the daily trades and the deals and all of these practices, trying to clear his mind to something more honored and more supreme, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, we have another question from Brother Khalid, who says, Jazakallahu khairan for the wonderful lecture series.
Allah barik you.
Can you elaborate on the Ahnaf living in the midst of kufr? How was their interaction as group or individuals in the society? Did they marry women only from Ahnaf, etc.?
Not necessarily. Again, they were living in the society and they were known. No one attacked them, no one criticized them, as long as they were peaceful and they kept to themselves. The problem, in their perspective, the problem with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is that he made this da'wah public. He made it a public affair and not an individual affair. Had the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam kept it to himself, they wouldn't have bothered. In fact, there's a story narrated by Sayyidina al-Abbas radiallahu anhu. He says that one day he was sitting with one merchant from another tribe, and that's after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam received the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was praying close to Al-Kaaba publicly with Sayyidina Khadija radiallahu anha, with Sayyidina Zayd ibn Haritha radiallahu anhu, with Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu. So 4 people were praying together in public, and no one objected to that. So that man, who was a stranger in Mecca, looked at Sayyidina al-Abbas radiallahu anhu and said, and what is that? Who are these people and what are they doing? Sayyidina al-Abbas radiallahu anhu told him, well, this is my nephew, Muhammad, and that's his wife, and that's my other nephew, Ali, and that's Zayd, the adopted son of Muhammad. And what they are doing is they're worshipping their Lord in that way that Muhammad claims to have received from his Lord. So again, Quraysh knew initially about the Prophet ﷺ, and they had no problem, because as long as you keep it to yourself, freedom of practice of faith in whichever way you want. We are worshipping this idol or that idol or the third one, or if you want to worship all of them at the same time, no big deal. We don't care. If you want to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, we don't care. But do not get into our business. Do not tell us what to do. That was the main bone or beef that Quraysh had with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as soon as he started spreading his da'wah and talking about these signs of unity, these signs of equality, they felt that this is going to destroy all of the social structure that we have spent years to build, and these layers that we have been accumulating on top of each other. We don't want to change that. So that's why they started attacking the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But Zayd ibn Amr ibn Nufayl, for example, married a woman from his tribe. Qas ibn Sa'ida used to come and go without any problems. Waraq ibn Nawfal, who was Christian, again, no one objected to him. So that was normal at that time.
Okay, we have another question from Sister Amna. She says, I'm wondering about the part about the people of Hud who overcharged and underpaid for goods. That's
Sayyidina Shu'aib, not Sayyidina Hud.
Okay, she says that's basically capitalism. Are there guidelines for how to make a profit without getting involved in unjust practices?
Fairness is the key. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always commands fairness, justice, and truth. But their practices were unfair. So basically, if I buy something from you and we agree on the price and we agree on the goods, when it's time to deliver the goods, you deliver 70% of what you promised me, taking the full price. And when you buy something from me and we agree on the goods, you want to take 120% more, basically 20% more than what we agreed upon. This is unfair. So this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called destabilizing the scale, التطفيف في الميزان. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the surah, ويل للمطففين الذين إذا اكتالوا على الناس يستوفون وإذا كالوهم أو وزنوهم يخسرون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is promising severe punishment to those who make this practice, that they take more than what they deserve and they give less than what they promise and what the other people are entitled to. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immediately links this to ألا يظن أولئك أنهم مبعوثون ليوم عظيم. Don't these people who practice this ugly practice think that they're going to be held to justice in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment? So again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is immediately linking practices in this earthly life to the accountability on the day of judgment, which is the thing that Quraysh has totally abandoned or has totally forgotten. And that resulted in all of the bad practices that used to exist there. I hope that answers the question.
Surah Al-Buruj, the last few verses, can you please elaborate? They seem out of place. This is from Brother Ikram.
Okay. Surah Al-Buruj is another surah that's talking about an event that preceded, yes, Surah Al-Buruj is talking about an event that preceded the birth of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So Surah Al-Buruj is talking about the event actually that triggered other events that resulted in the elephant attack, or the army with the elephants attack on Mecca, because the king of Yemen at that time, Zur'a bin Nawas, he attacked a couple of priests who were Christians. He claimed to be Jew or Jewish because Judaism had some traces in Yemen. He claimed to be Jewish. And when they claim with their books and their advice about following Sayyidina Isa ala nabina alayhi salatu wasalam, they rejected them and they killed them. And then we hear in the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one of the longest hadith in the books of hadith, the story about the boy and the king and the magician and the monk. So basically this is Abdullah ibn Thamir, who was the boy who followed the truth that these priests came with and was taught about this truth by the monk. And then we know, if you read in the story from the very long hadith, about how the king tried to get rid of him because he was trying to unite his society under faith, which would result again in equality and so on, and rejecting tyranny. So the surah is talking about that event. قتل أصحاب الأخدود النار ذات الوقود إذ هم عليها قعود وهم على ما يفعلون بالمؤمنين شهود. The whole story about how they dug trenches and subjected the faithful to this test. If you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're going to throw you in that fire. If you declare that you believe in the king, we're going to spare your life. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that this is not unique to that time. All the tyrants are going to follow the same path or the same practice. So Fir'aun did the same. The people of Ad did the same. All of the tyrants who rejected faith tried to subject the believers to physical torture and to attack them and to try to exterminate them. So that's why this surah, and let me see which ayat Brother Ikram is talking about from Surah Al-Buruj. If you
he added to his question from verse 17 onwards, it seems it deviates from the main story of the boy, starting from verse 17.
I'm trying to see which verse exactly he's talking about. Inshallah, give me just 1 second. If he has it in mind, let him remind us of which verses he feels are not connected. Here, from verse 17. هل أتاك حديث الجنود فرعون وثمود بل الذين كفروا في تكذيب والله من ورائهم محيط بل هو قرآن مجيد في لوح محفوظ. These are the last few ayat from Surah Al-Buruj that Brother Ikram is talking about. I see that they are running exactly in the same context because, as we mentioned, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is bringing history to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Arab tribes who used to travel left and right, they not only traveled to Syria and to Yemen, but they also traveled to Faris, to Iraq, they traveled to Egypt, they traveled to different parts, and they heard all of these stories about different civilizations. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling them that this is exactly the same pattern. There's nothing new in your rejection of the faith and your attack of the reformers and of the prophets. This is exactly what the previous nations did, and this is how these previous nations ended. So if you keep on insisting on fighting the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and resisting him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls them the soldiers. Again, when we say the soldiers, we're not talking about the generals. Even Fir'aun, who claimed that he was the supreme king and the supreme deity and so on, is just a soldier of Iblis. He's a soldier of the shaitan, because shaitan is the one who dictates his agenda. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, هَلْ أَتَاكَ حَدِيثُ الْجُنُودِ فِرْعَوْنَ وَثَمُودَ. These are two examples of two major civilizations that the Arabs are quite familiar with, especially Thamud, because it was on their trade route to Asham. بَلِ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فِي تَكْذِيبٍ. After you bring to them all of this information, all of this knowledge, after you tell them about what happened to Ashab al-Ukhdud, and after you tell them about what happened to Fir'aun and what happened to Thamud, they still deny the truth from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. بَلِ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فِي تَكْذِيبٍ. They still insist on denying the truth. وَاللَّهُ مِنْ وَرَائِهِمْ مُحِيطٌ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just giving them time. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can take them at any time abruptly, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did with the previous nations. بَلْ هُوَ قُرْآنٌ مَجِيدٌ فِي لَوْحٍ مَحْفُوظٍ. So keep preaching this faith from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inviting people to Islam with this Quran that has been preserved from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, I don't see any dichotomy or any separation whatsoever. I feel that it's a very good flow. Subhanallah al-Azim. Taban, of course, it's the perfect flow from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it is completely connected. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the previous nation that they know about, and especially is related to a very prominent event in Mecca, which is Hadith al-Fil, the year of the birth of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Later on, inshallah, maybe next time we're going to talk about what really caused that event, and you can see it on the video as well, but it's completely related to Surah al-Buruj. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again is reminding Quraysh one more time about events that they have witnessed and they were participants in, because at that time there were still people who were alive from the time of the attacks of the elephants, so they know the history and they know the reason. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just reminding them about that. Wallahu a'lam.
Okay, it seems Ikram said, Jazakallah khair, you've answered his question.
Alhamdulillah.
So that brings us to the conclusion of our class. Just as a reminder again, our next classes inshallah will be October 11th and October 18th. And the homework will be episodes 7 and 8, inshallah, to review.
Now, are we going to start at 8 or 8:15, inshallah?
8:15 to 9 is what we have scheduled.
Because I believe that for our brothers in Ibad al-Rahman, maybe by that time, Isha is going to be probably at 8:45 or something like that. And Maghrib is coming earlier and earlier every day. So
okay, so we can move to 8, inshallah.
I think we can move to 8, inshallah. And the email actually that Brother Ikram had sent mentioned that we start at 8 o'clock. So maybe that might have caused some confusion for some people. But if we stick to 8 o'clock, inshallah, so that we can finish no later than 8:45, inshallah, that would be great.
Okay, inshallah, no problem.
Inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us all, and don't forget us in your dua bi'idhnillah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, everybody.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.